In this video, I'll be giving you a comprehensive overview of the Warlock class, and how to dominate your foes with this severely underrated class.
Well, my daddy taught me a few things too, like
how to play the Warlock class without wanting to smash my keyboard.
Will you show me?
I'd be right happy to.
Before I begin, I want to let you know I've got a lot of Dark and Darker videos coming up, so if you like this video, or if you like Dark and Darker content, please subscribe, it's free. Let's go. First and foremost, the skills, perks, and spells you should be using. You may be tempted to use Phantomize, a skill which allows you to avoid all sources of physical damage and phase through monsters and players, and while it's a decent choice, it's far outshined by its counterpart, Blow of Corruption. Blow of Corruption is a must-have. It allows your next physical attack to do an additional 20 magic damage and reduce the target's healing. As a Warlock, your main spells are mostly close range, and your enemies will always be trying to close distance and get into melee range with you. Having Blow of Corruption, even on your default staff, allows you to deliver a staggering amount of melee damage. And a Blow of Corruption headshot, even with your default staff, will absolutely destroy squishier classes. It's also a great tool to help you clear mobs more quickly. Let's move on to perks. Your one must-have perk is Torture Mastery. This allows your Curse of Pain to restore 1 point of health every time it ticks damage. This ability to regain health while damaging enemies is the bread and butter of the Warlock class. Anti-Magic and Soul Collector are basically useless, so ignore them. Dark Enhancement and Malice will allow you to increase your spell damage, and Dark Reflection is your second must-have. Anytime it's on cooldown and you take damage, it reflects 10 magic damage to the attacker. This increases both your survivability and your damage output. Let's talk about spells and how to use them. Curse of Pain is your go-to spell, and you should be casting it at all times. It's a quick cast damage over time spell that restores your health as you damage your enemy. The critical part of the spell is that the healing it does is not limited to a single target, so the more separate targets you've casted Curse of Pain on, the faster you'll be regenerating health. If you've casted Curse of Pain on 4 separate targets, you'll be getting 4 points of health every second. This means that in a team fight or even in a crowded room of mobs, it should be your priority to land as many Curse of Pains on as many separate targets as possible. The more targets you cast it on, the faster you regenerate health. And in a one-on-one fight in a room full of mobs, every mob you see is an opportunity to be regenerating health, which will increase your survivability. It's also critical that you keep your eyes peeled for any gear that increases magical healing, as this gear will increase the health you gain from each Curse of Pain, making you significantly harder to kill. Now let's talk about Hellfire. Hellfire is your main tool for zoning enemies and controlling their movement. Hellfire summons a slow-moving ball of magic damage that moves through walls, destroys objects in its path, including doors. It's especially useful for controlling the path of your enemy. Here's a great example of an enemy that I found fighting the cave troll. See, he has this slim area where he can approach me without getting aggro of the cave troll. I push a Hellfire orb into that area, which forces him to choose between taking damage from the Hellfire or trying to fight the troll. He chooses the troll and dies. This is a good example how you'll rarely hit an enemy with Hellfire, but you can absolutely force him into a certain direction. The last 2 spells, Curse of Weakness and Power of Sacrifice, really aren't that good, and I mostly recommend spamming Curse of Pain and Hellfire. Let's talk about gear. Like I said before, the number 1 stat you're looking for is magical healing to increase your health regen. Aside from that, you really want to find a crystal orb and a falchion, which will allow you to cast spells and deal a decent amount of melee damage at the same time. Even with a low quality falchion, using Blow of Corruption means you'll hit someone with 51 points of damage in a single swing. That's more damage than most of the two-handed weapons you can buy from the store. This has been your overview of how to use the Warlock class. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm making weekly Dark and Darker videos. Please like and subscribe, comment for the algorithm, join the Discord, link in description. You'll probably regret it though. Most importantly, have a good day.